Tell me something that might be a surprise to people to find out. I mean, you mentioned that your parents are jazz musicians.
Yeah.
Like throw in, like listen to like old hip hop, or you ever listen to like
are you saying that just by chance, or did you snitch on me? Did you snitch on me?
How y'all feel?
Oh boy, I have very eclectic taste. So if I put like a playlist together, for sure you'd have Coltrane. For sure you have Laura Mvula, that not a lot of people know, but check her out, she's amazing. Sting, some Led Zepp, you probably have some disco even on it, and you probably have some West Coast rap, hip hop, probably some from Detroit also. So a healthy mix of everything.
Having such a diverse background in music, I had to find out how this guy grew up.
Well, I started playing when I was 12 years old. Both my parents were jazz musicians. My mother was a singer and my father was a drummer. So most of my friends went to the, I wouldn't say municipal band, but the band from our neighborhood. So it was kind of a hybrid between a marching band and a brass band. So they're all brass instruments and percussion. And we did parades, played bingos. Enrollment started on Tuesday, and I went on Wednesday and I said, well, I'd like to play the drums like my dad. So it's all the places are taken. Okay, well, maybe I could play the trumpet. So they say, well, all the places are taken. So we have the trombone left, so you take this. So that's how I started playing the trombone. From then on, I never looked back. I just practiced, and I was in an environment where the colleagues were great. My friends were there also. So it was a pretty cool environment, I have to say. So, you know, from then on, it was, yes, I did play in the Montreal Symphony before I played in the school orchestra. It's kind of bizarre a little bit.
Not only is Alain an accomplished live performer, he's got a pretty impressive collection of recordings as well.
First recordings, at the beginning of the 80s, there was still a lot of pop recording with real brass, and so I did one for a karate thing, and while I was in high school, and then I started doing other recordings. I played on a few Montreal Symphony recordings in my teens, but as a solo recording artist, yeah, I started, in my first recording I did was when I was 18. And I did everything that recording. I went to get the music at the airport because it was coming from another country. I placed the chairs for the orchestra. I placed the microphones. I wrote the payout sheets. I did, and then I warmed up, and then I played a concerto with the orchestra because, you know, you have no money, right? So you have to do everything. So that was my first one, was when I was 18, and I did after that many more.
So, after being a full-time Canadian musician, how did this guy end up in Toledo anyway? How did you make it your way here?
Well, it's very interesting what happened here, for me at least, because I'm not somebody who's worked tremendously in the US. My career has been a lot in Europe and Canada. And then I came here as a guest about 6 years ago. And usually when it goes well, you get a call back, you know, for a year or two after. I didn't hear anything from them. So, well, maybe it was good for me, it wasn't good for them. You know, you never know. So, wait a little bit. Then I get this call about 2 years ago, and says, hey, Alain, would you like to come and conduct Toledo? I said, of course. I had a great experience. The orchestra sounds great. We talk about a program. And he said, while you're here, would you take a meeting with some of our people, because, you know, I want to know what you think about the situation, what you think about the orchestra. I said, okay, sure. So I go to this meeting, and I see, I'm experienced now. I've been through a few of those. I said, oh, I think this is an interview for something. And we just talked and hit it up, and it was nice. But you know, I didn't think anything of it. We took another meeting, talk about other things, and like, wow, this is getting a bit more serious. Then we do the concerts, go very well. Orchestra sounds great, solo is fantastic. Then we leave, and they say, well, you know, if it comes down to it, could you consider it? I said, okay. I was in the finals for 2 other positions. And I said, well, you know what? This was such a great experience. I would consider it. And I like the way you're doing this, because it's not like advertised, and it's not on how showy it's going to be, but really how the craftsmanship is going to be. So for me, that was very interesting. And finally, at the end, yes, I was able to make it work. They wanted me, and I wanted to be here, of course, and we're all made it work, and now I'm here.
Being the new guy on the block, I wanted to find out what different we could expect from this new musical director.
Well, for me, what I like to do, I mean, I've done a lot of guest conducting, but the best work I've done, and the most I feel useful is when I'm music director, because I can actually build something. And I could actually participate in the collectivity, not just the musicians, you know, our own collectivity, but of a community. On our first concert this year, which is the opening of the 75th season of the orchestra, but also my debut as, you know, first complete season as music director. What I wanted to do is, again, as we talked about, give something that everybody knows, like really well and love. Like, so we're starting with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. But then what I wanted to do is to reflect the collaboration with the arts organizations around, and also the music from, you know, around Ohio, around here, Toledo. We have a great composer, Christopher Dietz, who wrote this wonderful piece that we're going to play in this concert too. And also we have the Toledo Ballet that's going to join us to do excerpt from Swan Lake that everybody knows also. But just to to be a center where everybody can come and feel welcome, you know, and feel like we're participating together in the arts. So in respect, you know, of every entity, but at the same time, joining forces to do, you know, the best possible music or performance, because the ballet is also visual, for our audience.
Lastly, I wanted to find out what keeps Alain going through this musical journey.
For me, the art of making music is not a choice, really. It's, you know, it's like when people become, if you become a nun, or, you know, it's a calling that you have. And it's not because of how nice it is to create, it's not about the calling, it's just a calling that you have. And I wouldn't see myself doing anything else. And you know, you come back to it all the time because it's your calling in life. It's not like you have a choice, really. So for me, it's that vocation I have, and there's also the connection between that vocation and the vocation of sharing it with as many people as possible, because a lot of people feel alone. And it's funny because we have all the cell phones and you know, you can go FaceTime and all, but people have never been as alone as they are now. And we need something to connect them. And for me, music is it. Bam! Okay.
Nailed it.